I ask Bob a question now?
Go ahead.
Bob, would you tell me what the role of PUC is in your ideal solutions?
Well, yeah, sure. So, you know, any utility program that Excel would have to come up with would likely have to be approved by the Public Utility Commission. You know, so let's say, whatever it is, you know, if that coal to redispatch, if you wanted to do a Green City rate, or even like the 2011 wind offer, would have had to go to the Public Utility Commission. Now, some of the things, depending on how you design these programs, some may require a legislative change. I mean, that you just brought up one, perhaps. You know, so it depends on the nature of what you're doing, but at a minimum, I would think you'd have to go to PUC. You could buy Rex directly, though. You don't need Excel for that. Yeah, but if you wanted to do a program like through Excel, you would have to go through Public Utility. But you know, that's why it's important to go hand in hand. You know, really build your case and make the main criteria for a commission usually is other customers aren't paying for whatever Boulder's doing. You know, like that's the biggest criteria, right?
Wouldn't Excel have to offer it to every customer?
They would, and that would be the other thing, right? So the programs have to be structured, but this is why working through this can have a big impact, because it couldn't just be just for Boulder, usually. You know, the program would have to be designed where it could be replicated. That would be normally how you do it. I suppose there could be, I mean, sometimes utilities have special rates for like a large customer. If you think of it that way, maybe there would be something that would be specific to Boulder, but generally speaking, your aim would probably be something that would be no harm done to other customers if they don't want to participate outside of Boulder, right? And that it can be replicated. It would normally be the criteria that I'm familiar with any new program. Yeah, good question.
Could I ask a question to the audience? How many people don't really understand what RECs are, renewable energy certificates? How many people would like 2.5 minutes, a little video on that? Let's cover questions first, but if we can fit that in at the end, I'd like to do that. So, Leslie, you're going to ask a question?
Yeah, Bob Bowman, I'm definitely with Liz and everybody on collaboration. I mean, that's really how we approached Excel back in 09 and 010 and said, listen, we've got a city that really cares about climate change. Let's work collaboratively, be a laboratory, and you can kind of demonstrate how to get it done here. And Excel frankly said no possible way. And we went all through 2010 and all through 2011 and kept trying. So I understand the divorce court thing, but at this point, what we have are words and like a list on the PowerPoint. And you're a consultant with Excel, and how can we make that how can we make it real?
Yeah.
And when is that going to happen? Because we would rather do something. Who wants to be in court? So how can we make this? Words on a PowerPoint. We got to be beyond that, Bob.
Yeah, but I agree. I'm not arguing here. But I think that is the question. Like, how do you set up a process that can get you from here to there? I don't have the answer. I would say in other communities, sometimes that's a little more understood. Like sometimes so-and-so's a decision maker, and you can work with that, work out a structure or a deal. Boulder has a very flat structure, is the way I like to say it, where there's a lot. Well, it has to be done together. I don't think one party can do anything.
I stand here ready to go.
You can use the off-ramp and get to work.
Yeah. Well, we got nowhere until we did the muni, because there was a lot of negotiation with Excel in 09, 2010, 2011.
Maybe it was the wrong one second. Let me step in for 1 second and tell you what I think. And I think that the problem is we got a bunch of he said, she said. He said, they said. We said, they said. Whatever happens has to happen in public, not behind closed doors. And it all has to be kind of in a newspaper the next day. Not something that goes on, 2010 and 29. Do you have videotapes of those presentations or those discussions? Do you have them on paper?
What you're saying. As soon as Excel is ready, then we'll do it.
Proof of exactly what happened back then. Because if you don't, We need to start over, and
Fabulous.
it needs to be done in public. And one thing I'd like to do is see the city of Boulder ask Excel to come and give a presentation at city council. Because has that ever happened?
That's like Netanyahu.
Yes.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
I know that, so, excuse me, I'm Jonathan from the city, and I just wanted to, number one, thank Kent. It's good to see you again. It's been a little while. Bob, always good to see you. And just to this question, I've heard this brought up a number of times, and so we started putting together a list of the times, and no offense to my friend here, Craig, in Excel, but we, in fact, 53 times since 2009 have made a public statement asking Excel to come forward with some type of proposal. And so we had an intern, in fact, go through the videos, go through the memos, 53 times that we've said, we are welcome, we are interested in a partnership. And I stand here, just as Leslie does, stand here really eager to get to work on some type of alternative. The three that, Bob, you put up on the screen, those were actually ideas that were brought to the task force by folks from the Boulder community that said, what about a green city rate? What about a redispatch option? And those were taken off the table, not by the city, not by the citizens, but by Excel. And so maybe now is the time. Maybe we can get back together and talk about how do we develop something that really achieves our long-term energy goals.
Go for the 54th attempt, publish it in the paper, and make Excel respond in the paper.
It's a good
You
suggestion.
know, we've got to, all this backroom stuff is not working. So,
A
go
lot of it
public.
happened at city council, just to be absolutely clear, and that's why they can go through the videos, because the council and the city manager and the city attorney said over and over again, we are, and the city council members, we are very anxious to work with Excel. We want to see
Yeah, I was
solid
there, and they
proposals.
badmouthed them out of the left side of their
I
mouth
know,
and said, we want to get together.
I think you're going to get, you'll get two different versions of history, and I don't, the other thing is though, I don't know if you can do it in that way. You know, like, these are really tough programs to get into detail on. The ideas are there, the details are very difficult, as you know, and they're doable, but they're difficult, you know. And so what is the right process? I don't have the magic wand. I don't know if it's been off the table. I just think it seemed like at the time, to me anyway, the notion of services like that were not where Boulder's heart was at. It was like a lot of discussion was talking about other fundamental changes to how this industry operates and what it does. These are services that, and I think somebody said it tonight at a city council meeting, like, oh, these were just services. Well, they are services. Yes, that's what they are. They'd be a tariff rate. They'd be something like that. If you know, that's the reality. They're not, you know, they'll be services is what most of those turn out to be. And is that something that's attractive, you know?
So I want to thank everybody. We're obviously getting booted out of here. I've got 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to run this.